So let's talk about restores. So at the moment, I'm logged in either as the reseller, or I could be logged in as the end user, depending on how you are selling this service onto your end users. So typical, most common scenario might be a user calls up the help desk to say, I've just accidentally deleted some email. Can you put them back in for me? So if we go straight over to the mail area, click on recover. This is where I can then browse all of my departments. In this case, if I come up to the search panel and I look for Adam's mailbox, so there's a search here. So if you've got thousands of users, it's nice and quick to be able to identify the user that's on the other end of the phone. So Adam's called up the help desk. We've got a couple of choices to make here. If the user's deleted all of their email, in my case 2.6 gig, I could choose this area from here and then choose the date and time in which I want to restore from. So I could go back in time and choose a date and time to click on recover. Now, in this scenario, I've only deleted a few handful of emails. So what I'm going to do is take you through the single item recovery. So if I click on the view button, obviously I can see at the top there, this is Adam's mailbox, and I can go and pick a date and time. So let's choose the 26th. And then this will show me my calendar, contacts and mail. So in this case, I'm interested in recovering some emails. And then I'm going to go into my inbox. And then finally, we've got some emails there. There we go. I'll just take those two. So I'm not seeing the entire content of the email. I'm seeing who it was from and the subject line of the email and when it was received. So this will help me or tell the user, I can see various different files in different folders. So I'm just going to select those two emails to recover and hit the recover button. Now, you'll then see it prompt me to say, well, okay, Adam, before you could go do a restore for that user, you need to verify that you have Office 365 Global Administrator privileges. So if I hit continue, it will take me off to authenticate. Let me type this in. Right, excellent. And pop my password in. Again, I don't have the dual factor authentication enabled for any of my lab environments, but there's no problems there. Okay, so you see at the bottom of the screen now, recovery to the cloud has started. So that's effectively finding my user and the date and time that I selected, and it will be busy looking for those two email items, and effectively it's going to squirt those email items back to my user. So I'm just waiting for that process to complete. So this might take a second or two. There we go, restoring account. Just got to wait a second for that to do its thing. Again, just while we're waiting for this to complete, just a reminder that if you do have any questions on the way, just to type them into the chat window. Excellent. Right, so that's all done for me now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Edge browser. So this is this user's Outlook, and I'm going to click into their Outlook. So that will connect me into their email. And obviously this is the user's inbox. We don't in fact restore directly into their inbox. What we in fact do is we create this Redstor folder within their inbox structure. So you can see I've done this a fair few times. So it was the 26th that I've chosen to do a restore from today. So if we browse into that user's inbox, and again, under this area here, it will recreate the exact same tree for that user. So there's the two emails that I chose to do a recovery for. And of course, then the user can do what they like. They can drag them back to their inbox to save the day. So that was just a quick little restore that I wanted to take you through. It's a common question that I'm regularly asked is, can you recover single items? And the simple answer is yes. So there are some slight differences for OneDrive, SharePoint and Teams. So let's look at OneDrive ever so quickly. So if I go to the OneDrive area, and again, we're talking about recoveries here. I can either recover back to that user's OneDrive. So if I quickly go and find some data, again, I can either do all of my 2.9 gig back to that user, or again, I can view and do item level recoveries. So if we look at the backup on the 26th, there's my OneDrive. In there, I've got some test files. Let's get my famous BG's MP3s, and then I can choose to recover them to either overwrite the files if they already exist, or to put them in a new folder. So hopefully that's quite self-explanatory. That will just create a new folder within that user's OneDrive. But the other thing we can do, the other type of restore, if I pull this arrow down, you'll also see that there's a restore using instant data. So I don't know if you remember when I started my presentation, I said that if you had like 10 terabytes of data stored with Redstor or with RISC, and you needed to get access to that data, moving that amount of data from A to B could take well over a week over a 100 meg network, which obviously isn't acceptable. So with instant data, again, I'll kick this off for my OneDrive. I'm probably going to demonstrate it best with SharePoint because I've got more data there. So if I choose instant data, I can then choose how long the user can access their OneDrive completely outside of Microsoft Office 365. So I'm going to say I want my user to have access to his OneDrive for 6 hours. I better choose my user as well. So I'm going to choose my Adam user. And if I hit recover, and again, I need to authenticate that I have permissions to be able to do what I need to do. So again, that's looking good. Stick my password in. Always click on that. Right then, so what we should see in a second is a little bubble to say that we've sent the end user an email. There we go. So instant data recovery email has now been sent to my user. And I just heard a dong in my headset. So if I go back to my user's email, what we should have is a link here saying, "Dear Adam, a recovery request has been made for you to access your OneDrive." So if the user is at home, let's say Office 365 is having a bad day, they can now click on this link and launch our instant data application. And again, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this with my SharePoint area. So if I minimize this, go back to SharePoint, that's going to do its little thing. Again, I've got far more data in here, so I'm going to click recover, and I'm going to use instant data. The difference here is that when I do the instant data from SharePoint and choose how long I'm going to have access to this user's data, there we go. Let's do Adam's Jeep page. Right, so I've got 1.2 gig in there. Hit recover, and again, I need to authenticate. Sorry about this. Dev security and all that. Getting good at typing that in quickly. Stick in my password. Right, and then this time, instead of something getting emailed out to the user, which is great for the OneDrive, SharePoint's not really associated to an individual user. So if Office 365 having a bad day and you want to be able to send a link out to all of your users or whoever's shouting the loudest for SharePoint data, you can send out this link. So I'm just waiting for that link to be generated for me. There it is. Right, so I can copy it to clipboard or I can download it. So I'm going to do a download. So this little executable is exactly the same executable that the user would have downloaded for their OneDrive. Obviously, in this case, I'm doing it for my SharePoint site. So I'm going to save that. And then I'll have to come up here and load that little utility. And again, I can use two types, really. I can either do permanent recovery. In this case, I'm just going to do temporary access. I only just want to hand pluck some data from that SharePoint site. So Windows is asking me what I'm up to. So I'm just accepting that, and I'm just waiting for the interface to appear. That's on the wrong screen. So I'm going to present the last SharePoint backup as a Z drive on my laptop. In fact, while we're here, let me just go and open up a file explorer. So again, this is my laptop view. It's got a C and a D drive. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to hit mount. This Z drive just instantly appears. So again, even if there was 10 terabytes of data in there, it just magically appears. And of course, that's the last successful date and time. There's Adam's Jeep page, which is the SharePoint data that I put up there. And of course, then I can see and access all of my test data as I'd need to. So there we go. We'll just go and access a PDF. So hopefully there you've seen that nice and quick. Again, Teams, very similar. I'm not going to go through it again with Teams, but you can either do very granular recovery back to Teams, or you can recover via the instant data tool. And the last thing, again, I will just cover off. I'm not going to go into massive technical detail in this session, but again, we also support G Suite backup. So this is where we can back up Gmail and its content. And again, the interface is very, very similar. The only difference really is in terms of recovery. At the moment, we can only recover the entire mailbox or the entire Google Drive back to the user. We can't do the very granular recovery points just yet. But again, as I was padding for time earlier, just to show you that all of that, what I've just explained we don't have at the moment, is in development.